Hello, today I'm going to talk about some basic misconceptions or immediate thoughts that people have when thinking about universal basic income. It is a complex uh, idea with complex issues because being, free money basically, it will interplay with all of life and everybody's life. First, universal basic income is universal. It's for everybody. Jeff Bezos gets a check. The homeless guy on the street gets a check, right? Every month. So it's not just for poor people. It has to be for everybody because otherwise it's not fair, and otherwise people gamify stuff. They try to take advantage. Oh, I'll do this, so I can get the paycheck. No, everybody gets it. Okay. Also, it's basic. It's not living in the lap of luxury. It is the bare minimum for a horrible apartment, right? A 3 square meals a day and keeping the lights on, and that's it. You're not gonna, be able to afford the latest video games. You're not going to have a nice car. All these things, you know, some people think, oh, people are just gonna be lazy all day and no one's gonna want to work. Some people who really shouldn't be working right now, and the only reason that they even show up to anything at all is so they don't starve to death. Those aren't the greatest workers in the world, anyways. Uh, if they stop working, the world will keep on going in circles. All right, um, so you don't have to worry about that. It is a safety net for everybody. It is to make sure uh, that nobody starves, and it prevents homelessness. It cures homelessness, actually, because homeless people will have enough money to not be homeless. They're not going to be living in the lap of luxury, but it gives you that leg up. Sometimes that's all it takes to get out of poverty at all, is to know where your next meal is coming from. And that's part of the argument with building tiny homes for homeless people, is that now they have a place to store their things. They can actually think about becoming better people, right? In the short term, maybe there'd be some this, that, the other, but uh, I do not believe that it would be, hundreds of millions of people strung out on drugs on the streets all day. One, they wouldn't be on the streets, and two, you know, people on drugs because, for many reasons, but a lot of times because they can't cope with life. Part of the reason you can't cope with life is because you don't know where your next meal is coming from. You don't have your basic necessities met, and so the stress really eats at people, right? So that is eliminated with universal basic income. Um, some other things to note: uh, universal basic income is not just a fanciful idea. It is either eventually we will come to universal basic income, or there will be violent chaos. There is no third option. Um, a lot of people pick on San Francisco, and there's plenty to pick on. Um, there is, it's still a city. It still has, its pros, but um, that is the world without universal basic income. That is what people think. Oh, if you do that, it'll become like that. No, it prevents that. It prevents rampant homelessness. It prevents strung out people on the streets all day. It prevents, no one's going to be having, there won't be any tent cities. It will also increase the wealth of the world, not through inflation, but through, oh, now there's people who can afford to live in apartments, so we have to build more apartments. The landlords get money for rent. Um, it increases everybody's wealth, the poor and the rich, right? Not just through the paychecks, but through the spending of those paychecks. Now, there's lots of ways to get this. Money doesn't fall from the sky, except that it does. It's all in our minds. Money is not real. It's just numbers on a screen for the most part. And sometimes it's little pieces of paper. And there's videos I'm going to make on that. Possible crypto, universal basic income, or where does this money come from? Oh, it's just all my taxes and stuff. There's solutions to all of these problems, which I will cover later. The biggest thing that people get about universal basic income is it's communism. Right? It's communism, right? One, communism is a complete set of ideas, and nowhere in communism does it say that everybody just gets a free paycheck. Um, Everybody has to contribute. Everybody is supposed to, and that's not what this is. I am not a communist. I do not support communism. Communism always leads to evil because it does not understand the human condition. If we were all saints, maybe communism could work. I don't know, but we are not. There will always be people who want more and will do anything to get more. The fictional character Walter White in Breaking Bad, right? There's people who want money just for the sake of having money, of having that power. More money than they can ever spend. Those people aren't going to be stopped, no matter what you do. They will take advantage of any system. They take advantage of capitalism. They can take advantage of communism. Universal basic income is, at the most, kind of social-ish socialist, but it is a necessity. A completely free market capitalism, is like evolution. Evolution is great and evolution works, but evolution sees to it that many people die and don't reproduce, right? Animals that are born with deformities or without advantageous traits, they die, right? So evolution is dirty, right? It causes death and destruction. It is progress, right? And that's the same way that economies work. With the increase of automation and the increase of centralization of wealth, we will either have rampant homelessness, drug use to the point to where there'll be riots every day, and it'll get more and more until it builds to a crescendo and the whole system falls apart, and your precious little penthouse and your nice little farm out in the country where you think you're safe and everything, it will all go away. There will be chaos, violent chaos, or there will be universal basic income eventually. I don't know if it's in my lifetime, my children's lifetime, or when, but this will happen. And with the increase of technology and everything, when I was a kid, we still used payphones. When I was in high school, we still used payphones. I'm a little bit older than I look sometimes. It's evolving so rapidly. Artificial intelligence will increase that as well. There needs to be safety nets for people. There needs to be something that prevents people from starving on the street, children from being homeless, right? There needs to be this. If we are decent people, we are better than letting people die for the sake of progress, right? We're better than people having to work in factories all day long. Like in China, 996, they work 9 hours a day, every day, or 6 days a week, right? From 9 o'clock, no, actually it's 12 hours. It's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week in factories. And we wonder why there's suicide nets around the buildings. That's because they need to. Otherwise, they starve to death. Well, with universal basic income, that's not the case. It will also decrease inflation. People think that, you give people a bunch of money, there will be rampant inflation. The economy will go wild. Actually not. When people have a fixed income, there will be many people who will rely solely on universal basic income. Or maybe they'll do something on the side. But when you have a fixed income, you only spend that income. And that will drive down prices because people still want these things and they'll still be willing to pay. But when you have everybody has a lot of money, that's when you have inflation. That's actually what the Fed is doing right now in 2023. They're trying to cripple the economy because inflation has gone up too high. They're trying to get people on lower wages and everything. And universal basic income is basically a solution to that. It will force companies and, through competition. Okay, so, Kraft doesn't want to decrease their prices. Okay, but someone else will make a company that will compete with them that people on universal basic income can afford. And then Kraft will be like, oh, wait, this guy's driving me out of business with his low prices. I better lower mine, right? So you think it'll just be rampant inflation? It'll be deflationary, or at least stabilizing. And the exact amount and details of universal basic income can be worked out later. There are already tests that they're doing right now for universal basic income. Smart people, smarter than me, economists with degrees and everything, are already testing this in small cases, and they already know that it's inevitable. Unfortunately, it's not inevitable. We could just all devolve into chaos and violence. That is, it is either or. But if we plan on keeping the society alive, it will be inevitable. So that's the basics of universal basic income. I will make more videos on details of ideas of how it can be paid for. There are many options, and maybe we could use all of them, some of them, or something I've never thought of. But that is the progress that our society must make.